as a dad, one of the things that I've heard myself and my wife saying to our kids is, God sets up the world in such a way where basically when he says don't do something, he says don't hurt yourself. You choose to sin, you choose to suffer. The path of obedience and trusting God at his word is the path to blessing. So sometimes God lets us have everything that we want until we choke on it and finally say, okay, you were right. This really isn't working out as well as I thought. And I think it's only a matter of time before that happens. Hopefully things won't get so bad before we have that aha moment as a culture that, 10, 12 hours a day looking at my Snapchat and Instagram is not a good idea.
Yeah, and you do, I mean, we saw this in the Bible. It's not even necessarily a new phenomenon, but when you replace God with the God of self, suffering does occur. And I've experienced this in my own life. There was a season in college where I was going through a hard time, and so I just kind of rejected God, and I found myself doing things that I never thought that I would, over drinking, hanging out with the wrong people, all that kind of stuff. And I was following this God of self who told me, if you just do what makes you happy, if you just do what feels good, then you'll be healed and you'll be better and things will shape up for you.
Yeah.
And I look back at all of the regrets that I racked up, all of the things that I did and said that I'm so not proud of, and all the pain that I allowed myself to go through. I ended up developing an eating disorder. And I'm like, God, if I had stayed true to who I knew I was in Christ, if I had stayed true to his word, and of course, God brings redemption and glory out of all of the things that we do and all of the mistakes that I made, but I could have avoided so much pain and so much regret. And so what I tell people following this God of self, this God of like, whatever feels good, I'm just going to do it, is that it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like you said, God's precepts are meant for our good, and that doesn't mean that it feels good always to follow them. Sometimes it hurts, and self-sacrifice and self-denial, what Jesus calls us to, hurts. But in the end, I have never regretted following the Lord. I've never regretted listening to the Lord. The things that I regret in my life, I look back and I'm like, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? You knew that was wrong. And of course, God knows that, in hindsight is 2020. But I just remind people, it's not worth it. You are not good at being your own God. So remember that now so you don't rack up regrets later.
Oh, I love it. Love that. There's music to my ears.